What if the key to eternal life wasn't ours to discover? Deep within the void of space, on a derelict station shrouded in silence, for individuals are about to rewrite humanity's destiny or doom it forever. As they decode an alien signal promising immortality, they awaken something far beyond comprehension. Will they survive what comes next? Stay until the end to uncover the chilling truth, and don't forget to subscribe for more mind-bending sci-fi stories. The silence of space was deafening. The abandoned research station, Erebus 7-, floated aimlessly in the vast expanse between galaxies, its systems barely functional after decades of neglect. Inside, the air carried the metallic tang of decay and forgotten dreams. It was as though time itself had slowed here, leaving behind only echoes of human ambition and failure. Yet now, this ghostly relic of humanity's past served as the stage for one of its most audacious endeavors, decoding a signal from deep space that promised nothing less than the secret to immortality. At the helm of this expedition was Dr. Nathan Grimm, a man whose reputation preceded him. Known for his unorthodox theories and relentless pursuit of knowledge, he stood now at the heart of the station's main lab, staring at a wall of flickering monitors. His sharp jawline tightened as he reviewed the data streaming across them. Beside him, Ivana Ross worked tirelessly, her fingers dancing over a holographic interface. Her expertise in cryptography made her indispensable, though her quiet demeanor often left others wondering what lay beneath her calm exterior. She was methodical, almost mechanical in her approach, yet there was an intensity in her gaze that betrayed her passion for unraveling mysteries. Rounding out the trio was Ryan Blake, the station's resident technician. With grease-streaked hands and a perpetual smirk, he kept the ancient equipment running despite its protests. He leaned against the console now, arms crossed, watching Grimm pace like a caged predator. "You really think this is worth risking our lives for?" Ryan asked, breaking the tense silence. Grimm stopped mid-step, turning to face him. His voice was low but carried undeniable conviction. "If we're right about this signal, it could change everything. Immortality isn't just a dream, it's a possibility. And I won't let fear stop me from finding the truth." Ryan raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. "Immortality sounds great on paper, Doc. But have you thought about the consequences? What happens when people stop dying? Overpopulation, resource depletion. Sounds like a recipe for disaster to me." Ivana glanced up briefly from her work, pushing her glasses further up her nose. "He has a point, Nathan. Even if we crack the code, implementing it safely would be another challenge entirely. We're talking about rewriting biology here." Grimm sighed, rubbing his temples. "I know the risks, but imagine the possibilities. No more disease, no more aging. Humanity freed from the chains of mortality. Isn't that worth exploring?" Unbeknownst to them, someone or something was listening. Somewhere in the depths of the station, hidden from view, an entity stirred. It had been dormant for centuries, waiting patiently for the right moment to awaken. Now, sensing the proximity of intelligent minds grappling with existential questions, it began to take form. Ivana adjusted her glasses, leaning closer to the screen as lines of incomprehensible code scrolled past. She sighed heavily, rubbing her temples. "This isn't like anything I've ever seen before," she admitted, frustration creeping into her tone. "It's not random noise, but it's not structured either. It's adaptive." "Adaptive?" Grimm echoed, intrigued. "Yes. Every time I try to isolate a pattern, it shifts, like it knows we're trying to decode it." Ryan chuckled nervously. "Great. So we got a sentient math problem on our hands. What's next? A pop quiz?" Ignoring his sarcasm, Grimm moved closer to examine the data. Sentience implies intelligence. Intelligence implies purpose. This signal didn't come to us by accident. Someone or something wants us to find it. As if in response, the lights flickered ominously. The hum of the station's power core grew louder, vibrating through the floor. Ryan cursed under his breath, rushing to check the systems. "We're pushing the old girl too hard. If we lose power again, We'll lose more than power, Ivana interrupted sharply. Look at this. On the central monitor, the signal had changed. Where once there had been chaos, patterns began to emerge, geometric shapes shifting and rearranging themselves into something resembling language. But it was a human language. It was alien. Grimm's eyes widened. Keep recording everything. Don't stop until we have the full sequence. Ivana nodded, her fingers flying over the controls. Despite her earlier doubts, she couldn't deny the thrill of discovery. This was uncharted territory, a frontier no scientist had ever dared to cross. Yet even as excitement bubbled within her, a nagging sense of unease lingered at the edges of her consciousness. Something about this signal felt wrong. Not malicious, necessarily, but unnatural. As though it belonged to a realm beyond human comprehension. Ryan returned from inspecting the power core, wiping his hands on a rag. Bad news, boss. The reactor's starting to act up again. If we don't stabilize it soon, we're gonna have bigger problems than weird alien messages. Grimm waved him off dismissively. Focus on the signal, Blake. The reactor can wait. Ryan rolled his eyes but said nothing. Instead, he turned his attention to the blinking red lights on the control panel, muttering under his breath about stubborn scientists who didn't understand basic engineering principles. Meanwhile, the station seemed to grow colder. Frost formed on the windows, spreading outward in delicate fractals. The air crackled with static electricity, raising the hairs on the back of their necks. Ivana paused, glancing around nervously. Do you feel that? Feel what? Grimm snapped, still engrossed in the data. The temperature. It's dropping fast. Ryan frowned, checking the environmental controls. That's impossible. The heating system's working fine. This shouldn't be happening. Before anyone could respond, the lights cut out entirely, plunging the lab into darkness. For a brief moment, panic set in as the team fumbled for flashlights. Then, without warning, the monitors came back online, bathed in an eerie green glow. On the largest screen, a single phrase appeared, written in jagged, angular characters that pulsed faintly. Dash, you seek eternity. The room fell silent as the weight of the message settled over them. None of them dared to speak. They were paralyzed by awe and terror. The frost on the windows melted instantly, replaced by a soft, golden glow emanating from nowhere and everywhere at once. Finally, Grimm found his voice. Who are you? I am Elian, the voice replied, resonating not through their ears, but directly within their minds. A messenger from those who crafted the signal. Your kind calls my creators gods. Ryan laughed nervously. Aliens or gods? Which is it? Perception shapes reality, Elian said cryptically. To some, we are divine. To others, merely advanced. Either way, your curiosity has summoned me. Ivana stepped forward cautiously. Why send the signal? What do you want from us? To share the gift of eternity. To transcend mortality. But such knowledge carries a price. What kind of price? Grimm demanded, his tone bordering on desperation. Elian's form materialized before them, an ethereal being with shimmering silver skin and elongated limbs. Its eyes glowed like twin suns, piercing through their souls. The cost is choice. Will you accept the burden of immortality, knowing it will reshape your existence, and perhaps destroy it? Grimm clenched his fists, his mind racing. Was this truly the opportunity of a lifetime, or a trap designed to exploit their hubris? We need proof, Ivana said finally, breaking the tension. Show us what this gift entails. Elian inclined its head slightly, as if amused. Without another word, it extended a hand toward Grimm. A surge of energy coursed through the room, and suddenly, images flooded their minds. They saw visions of civilizations stretching across millennia, evolving beyond recognition. They witnessed wars fought not for survival, but for ideology. They felt the crushing weight of endless existence, where joy turned to apathy and love faded into memory. When the visions ended, Grimm staggered back, shaken. Is that what awaits us? It is one path among many, Elian replied. The choice remains yours. The room remained heavy with the weight of Elian's words. The golden glow receded, leaving behind an oppressive silence that seemed to press against their chests. Grimm stood frozen, his face pale but resolute. Ivana clutched the edge of the console, her knuckles white as she processed the implications of what they had just witnessed. Ryan, ever the pragmatist, broke the tension with a nervous laugh. So, eternal life comes with a side of existential dread? Great deal, he muttered, shaking his head. Norafund, iashuma. Elian tilted its elongated head, its glowing eyes narrowing slightly. You misunderstand. Immortality is not merely an extension of life. It is a transformation. Your bodies, your minds, your very essence will evolve beyond your current comprehension. Evolve into what? Ivana asked sharply, her voice trembling. We saw those visions, civilizations crumbling under the weight of endless time. Is that what you're offering us? A future where we lose everything that makes us human? Not necessarily, Elian replied calmly. The path of evolution is shaped by choice. Some embrace change, others resist it. The outcome depends on how you wield the gift. Grimm stepped forward, his expression intense. And if we refuse? What happens then? Elian's form shimmered faintly, as though contemplating the question. Refusal is also a choice. However, the signal cannot remain dormant indefinitely. Should you reject it, it will seek another vessel, one more willing to accept its purpose. Ryan crossed his arms, his usual sarcasm replaced by a rare seriousness. So basically, we're stuck between becoming alien hybrids or letting someone else take the fall. Fantastic. Ivana turned to Grimm, her eyes pleading. Nathan, we can't do this. We don't even fully understand what's at stake here. Playing God never ends well for anyone. Grimm hesitated, torn between his ambition and Ivana's caution. He had spent years chasing answers, pushing boundaries no one else dared to cross. Now, standing on the precipice of discovery, he couldn't bring himself to walk away. If we don't explore this, humanity might miss its chance to transcend its limitations. Isn't that worth the risk? Risk. Ivana snapped, her voice rising. This isn't just a gamble, Nathan. It's rewriting the fundamental code of existence. What if we unleash something we can't control? Before Grimm could respond, the station shuddered violently. Alarms blared, and red emergency lights bathed the room in an eerie glow. What the hell is going on now? Ryan shouted as he scrambled to his feet. The core, Ivana cried. It's destabilizing. The three raced to the engineering bay, where the station's reactor pulsed erratically, threatening to overload. Ryan frantically worked to stabilize it, sweat dripping down his face. This isn't normal wear and tear, he muttered. Something's messing with the system. As if on cue, Elian appeared, hovering serenely amidst the chaos. Your indecision weakens you, it intoned. Choose now or perish. Damn it, Elian, Grimm snapped. Give us more time. Time is a luxury even I cannot grant, Elian replied. The signal grows impatient. It demands resolution. Ivana grabbed Grimm's arm. Don't listen to it. Whatever it wants, it's not good for us. But Grimm hesitated, torn between his ambition and the growing sense of unease gnawing at him. Could he really condemn humanity to mortality because of fear? Or was Ivana right? Was this a path best left untraveled? Ryan slammed his fist against the console in frustration. Come on, people. Arguing isn't going to fix the reactor. With seconds to spare, Ryan managed to stabilize the core, narrowly averting disaster. Exhausted, he slumped against the wall, glaring at Elian. You better start explaining yourself, shiny boy. What do you mean? The signal grows impatient? Elian regarded him impassively. The signal is self-aware. It seeks vessels to propagate its essence. Should you refuse, it will consume this station, and you along with it. That's blackmail. Ivana protested. It is survival, Elian corrected. For both your species and mine. Grimm's resolve hardened.
Fine.
If that's how it has to be, then so be it. Activate the signal.
No.
Ivana lunged toward him, but Ryan held her back. You sure about this, Doc? Ryan asked quietly. Grimm nodded grimly. We came here for answers. Let's see where they lead. Elian raised a hand, and the signal surged to life. The station quaked as waves of energy rippled outward, bathing them in golden light. The transformation began almost immediately. Grimm felt his body tingle, every cell awakening with newfound vitality. Memories sharpened, senses heightened. He could feel the passage of time slowing, stretching infinitely before him. But it wasn't painless. Waves of agony racked his body as his DNA rewrote itself. Beside him, Ivana screamed, clutching her head as torrents of alien knowledge flooded her mind. Ryan collapsed to his knees, gasping for air as his very essence shifted. Through it all, Elian observed dispassionately. Immortality comes at a cost, it reminded them. Remember that. When the process ended, they stood changed, not quite human, not entirely alien. Their reflections in the metal walls revealed unfamiliar eyes, glowing faintly with an inner light. Well, Ryan croaked, attempting humor despite his trembling voice. Guess I won't be needing retirement plans anymore. Ivana, still reeling, whispered, What have we done? Grimm clenched his fists, trying to steady his breathing. We've taken the first step toward a new era. Humanity's future starts now. Ivana shot him a look filled with equal parts anger and despair. Or its end. You think this was a gift? It feels more like a curse. Ryan pushed himself to his feet, wobbling slightly as he adjusted to his altered state. Either way, we're stuck with it. So what's next, boss? World domination? Galactic conquest? Grimm ignored the sarcasm, his gaze fixed on the horizon. First, we need to understand exactly what's been done to us. Then, we decide how to share this with Earth. Days passed in a haze as the trio struggled to adjust to their new reality. Each moment brought fresh revelations about their transformed bodies and minds. Grimm reveled in his heightened abilities, testing his strength by tearing through reinforced panels and running simulations faster than any computer. Ivana, however, withdrew into herself, overwhelmed by the influx of alien knowledge. She spent hours poring over the decoded fragments of the signal, searching for clues about their condition. Ryan oscillated between fascination and fear. On one hand, he marveled at his newfound resilience. He could survive extremes of temperature and radiation that would have killed him before. On the other hand, he couldn't shake the feeling that something vital had been lost in the process. His memories of Earth, once vivid and cherished, now felt distant, like scenes from a movie he'd watched long ago. One evening, as they gathered in the lab, Grimm addressed the group. We need to document everything. Every change, every sensation. This data could be invaluable for preparing humanity for the transition. Ivana looked up from her tablet, her expression skeptical. Preparing them? For what? To become experiments like us? You still haven't answered my question. Why should we trust Elian? For all we know, we're pawns in some cosmic game. Grimm sighed, rubbing his temples. I get your concerns, Ivana. But we don't have the luxury of doubt anymore. Whether we like it or not, we're part of something bigger than ourselves. Our job is to make sure humanity benefits from it. Ryan snorted. Easy for you to say, Doc. You're loving every second of this. Me? I just want to go home. And what home would that be? Ivana countered bitterly. The planet we left behind? Or the shell of a person we used to be? Elian materialized silently in the corner of the room, observing their exchange. You are pioneers, it said finally. Ambassadors of a new era. Teach your kind the value of eternity. In the weeks that followed, tensions within the team grew, increasingly strained. Grimm's relentless optimism clashed with Ivana's growing cynicism, while Ryan tried, and often failed, to mediate their arguments. The isolation of the station only exacerbated their conflicts, amplifying every disagreement into a full-blown crisis. One night, as Grimm reviewed the latest batch of experimental results, Ivana approached him cautiously. Nathan, we need to talk. He glanced up, surprised by her tone. About what? About Earth. About broadcasting the signal. Grimm frowned, setting down his tablet. What about it? I'm not convinced it's safe. Not yet. We don't fully understand the consequences of what happened to us. What if activating the signal on a global scale causes irreversible damage? Grimm leaned back in his chair, considering her words. I understand your concerns, Ivana. But we can't delay forever. The longer we wait, the greater the risk that someone else intercepts the signal, or worse, misuses it. But rushing into this could doom billions of lives. Ivana exclaimed, her voice rising. Is that really worth the risk? Before Grimm could respond, Ryan entered the lab, holding up his hands placatingly. Okay, let's take a breather here. Maybe there's a compromise. There isn't, Grimm snarled. Some sacrifices are necessary for progress. Ryan sighed, looking between the two of them. Look, I'm no scientist, but even I can see that we're not ready for this. Why don't we focus on understanding the signal better before making any big decisions? Grimm shook his head stubbornly. We don't have the luxury of time. Humanity's future depends on us. The argument lingered in the air, unresolved and heavy. Ryan glanced at Ivana, whose face was etched with frustration, then back at Grimm, who seemed immovable in his conviction. The divide between them was palpable, a chasm that widened with every word spoken. Finally, Ryan threw up his hands in exasperation.
Fine.
Let's say we do broadcast the signal. What's the plan? Just hit send and hope for the best? Or are we going to walk humanity through this step by step, like some kind of galactic kindergarten? Grimm's jaw tightened. We'll prepare protocols, guidelines, whatever it takes to ensure a smooth transition. Ivana snorted derisively. Protocols? Guidelines? Nathan, this isn't about teaching people how to use a new app. This is rewriting biology on a global scale. There is no smooth transition. Ryan nodded emphatically. Exactly. And let's not forget the psychological impact. Imagine telling someone they're suddenly immortal. How do you think they'd react? Half the population would lose their minds, and the other half would start hoarding resources faster than you can blink. Elian, who had been silently observing the exchange, finally spoke. Your concerns are valid, it said, its voice resonating softly in their minds. But hesitation carries risks as well. Delay invites uncertainty. Uncertainty breeds chaos. Grimm seized on Elian's words.
There.
Even Elian agrees. We can't afford to wait. But rushing into this invites disaster. Ivana countered sharply. What if the signal mutates? What if it spreads uncontrollably? We're talking about unleashing something we barely understand. Ryan rubbed his temples, feeling the weight of the situation pressing down on him. Look, I'm just the guy who fixes things around here, but even I know when something smells fishy. This whole thing feels off, like we're being manipulated. Grimm shot him a sharp look. Manipulated? By whom? Elian? It's given us everything. A chance to transcend mortality, to reshape our destiny. Why would it deceive us? Because it hasn't told us everything, Ivana interjected. Think about it. Why does it need us? Why not just broadcast the signal itself? Why go through all this trouble? Elian's glowing form shimmered faintly, as though considering the question. I am a guide, not a decision-maker. My creators entrusted me with the signal, but its activation requires willing participants. You were chosen because you sought answers. Chosen? Ryan echoed skeptically. Or coerced. Sounds like semantics to me. Grimm ignored him, pacing the room with growing agitation. Enough. Arguing won't change anything. The signal exists. We've already been transformed by it. The only question now is whether we use it responsibly or waste the opportunity of a lifetime. As days turned into weeks, the debate continued to simmer beneath the surface, unresolved but ever-present. Each member of the team grappled with their own internal struggles, their altered states amplifying both their strengths and weaknesses. Grimm became increasingly consumed by his vision of a utopian future where humanity transcended its limitations and achieved unparalleled greatness. Ivana, however, grew more withdrawn, haunted by visions of dystopia and collapse. Ryan oscillated between the two extremes, torn between pragmatism and fear. One evening, while Grimm and Ryan worked on stabilizing the station systems, Ivana retreated to the lab to analyze the signal further. She stared at the alien symbols scrolling across her holographic interface, searching for patterns or anomalies that might reveal hidden dangers. That's when she noticed something, a subtle anomaly buried deep within the data. Tracing it led her to a shocking revelation. The signal wasn't just a message. It was a program designed to integrate itself into organic matter. Her blood ran cold. If activated, it would rewrite DNA, transforming humans into something else. Not merely immortal, but fundamentally different. Alien. She rushed to find the others, her heart pounding. "We need to stop this," she said urgently as she burst into the engineering bay. "The signal, it's not just information. It's a biological weapon." Grimm frowned, skeptical. "Explain." "It's designed to alter our genetic structure. To make us immortal, yes, but at what cost? We'd be giving up our humanity." Ryan shook his head vehemently. "No thanks. Living forever sounds like a nightmare. But think of the possibilities." Grimm countered, his voice rising. "Disease eradicated. Aging reversed. Humanity freed from the chains of mortality. And what happens when people stop dying?" Ivana challenged. "Overpopulation. Resource depletion. Chaos. Are you prepared to deal with that?" Elian watched silently, its expression unreadable. The revelation sent shockwaves through the group, forcing them to confront uncomfortable truths about the nature of the signal. For Grimm, it was a test of his resolve. For Ivana, confirmation of her worst fears. And for Ryan, a stark reminder of the stakes involved. Yet despite their differences, they agreed on one thing. They needed more time to study the signal's full implications before making any decisions. Days stretched into months as the trio delved deeper into their research. They conducted experiments, ran simulations, and documented every aspect of their transformation. Grimm focused on understanding the biological changes wrought by the signal, hoping to develop safeguards against unintended consequences. Ivana analyzed the code embedded within the signal, searching for clues about its creators and purpose. Ryan, meanwhile, worked tirelessly to maintain the station's aging infrastructure, ensuring they had a stable base of operations. Yet the isolation began to take its toll. The vast emptiness of space weighed heavily on them, amplifying feelings of doubt and paranoia. Grimm grew increasingly obsessive, spending long hours alone in the lab, poring over data. Ivana withdrew further into herself, plagued by nightmares of civilizations collapsing under the weight of eternal existence. Ryan tried to keep morale high, cracking jokes and organizing makeshift movie nights, but even he couldn't mask the growing tension. One night, as they sat together in the mess hall, Ryan broke the silence. "You know, sometimes I wonder what it would have been like if we hadn't come here. If we just stayed on Earth, living normal lives." Grimm chuckled darkly. "Normal lives? Dying of old age? Watching loved ones perish? No thanks." Ivana sighed, staring out the window at the endless void beyond. "At least we wouldn't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders." Ryan nodded thoughtfully.
Yeah.
"But here's the thing, I don't think we have a choice anymore. Whether we like it or not, we're part of this now. The question is, how do we move forward without losing ourselves completely?" Elian reappeared unexpectedly one day, its presence casting an eerie glow throughout the lab. "Your time grows short," it intoned. "The signal cannot remain dormant indefinitely." Grimm looked up sharply. "What do you mean?" "The signal is self-sustaining. If not activated, it will seek another vessel, one less cautious, perhaps more reckless." Ivana's eyes widened in alarm. "So, what you're saying is, if we don't act, someone else will? Someone who might misuse it." "Precisely." Ryan groaned, throwing up his hands. "Great. So we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Either we unleash this thing and risk destroying the planet, or we sit back and let someone else screw everything up." Grimm clenched his fists, his expression grim. "Then we have no choice." We activate the signal, but with safeguards in place. Protocols to prevent abuse. Ivana shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. And what if those safeguards fail? What if we're wrong? We have to try, Grimm insisted. For humanity's sake. Elian inclined its head slightly. A wise decision. But remember, the path of eternity is fraught with peril. Choose wisely. With that, it vanished, leaving them alone once more. The activation process was painstakingly slow, requiring precise coordination and meticulous attention to detail. Grimm oversaw the technical aspects, ensuring the signal was transmitted safely and securely. Ivana worked tirelessly to implement safeguards, designing firewalls and fail-safes to mitigate potential risks. Ryan handled logistics, making sure the station's systems remained operational under the immense strain. As the final preparations neared completion, the atmosphere aboard Erebus 7 grew tense. Each member of the team wrestled with their own doubts and fears, wondering whether they were doing the right thing or condemning humanity to ruin. On the day of activation, they gathered in the lab, surrounded by blinking monitors and humming machinery. Grimm stood at the center, his hand hovering over the control panel. "This is it," he said quietly. "Once we activate the signal, there's no turning back." Ivana nodded solemnly. "Let's hope we're ready for whatever comes next." Ryan took a deep breath, offering a weak smile. "Well, here goes nothing." Grimm pressed the button. The signal surged outward, rippling through space like a wave of golden light. For a moment, everything seemed calm. Then the station trembled violently, alarms blaring as systems overloaded. The team scrambled to stabilize the equipment, their hearts racing as they braced for the unknown. When the chaos subsided, they found themselves unchanged, or so it seemed. Yet something felt different. Subtle shifts in perception, heightened awareness, an overwhelming sense of connection to the cosmos. Elian materialized before them, its form shimmering faintly. "It is done," it said simply. "The signal has been released. Its effects will ripple across your world in due time." Grimm exhaled deeply, relief washing over him. "It worked. We did it." Ivana looked at him, her expression conflicted. "Did we? Or did we just open Pandora's box?" Ryan shrugged, attempting humor despite the gravity of the situation. "Guess we'll find out soon enough." Elian regarded them silently for a long moment. "Your journey here is complete. The decision rests with you. Choose wisely." And with that, it vanished, leaving them alone once more. Months later, the fate of the signal remained undecided. Grimm continued advocating for its release, while Ivana worked tirelessly to decode safeguards. Ryan, meanwhile, gazed longingly at the stars, dreaming of Earth. Had they made the right choice? Would they ever know? As the camera pans out, showing the lonely station adrift in the cosmos, a single question lingers. What would you do with eternity? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this thrilling sci-fi tale, don't forget to smash that subscribe button for more epic adventures.